Hopefully you'll find this is actually quite intuitive after all the things you've done so far. We'll start at the top. Create a variable that indicates if the timer has elapsed. So I'm gonna grab a global variable and we'll call this, you could call it flag. I'm gonna call it long press flag. That way I know what it means. If it is up, that means it was a long press. If it's down, then it was not a long press. And we'll start that variable in a good state of being down, yeah? So we'll make it false.
Flag is nil. No, flag is false. We will make flag be false. Okay.
Next up, we make a timer.
Create the timer. Let's call it.
How about press hold timer?
That sounds good. The timer 0 was totally on the table though.
And then when the timer elapses, what block does something when it elapses?
That would be the handler of events block.
Yeah, the on timer tick. So we'll create the on timer tick block. When timer elapses, sets the flag to true.
Yep, and remember, you can go right up to, you could grab it from right up there in the definition to make it a little easier on you. Set flag true. Oh.
What do you got for me?
I have just thought of one.
Go on.
In the same way that that I thought that we should set the flag low when we poke the button. Once the timer goes boom, we don't need it to go boom again.
Right. Think about what a timer does. A timer does its tick and then it restarts again. So in this case, it would tick, the flag would go high, and then 2 seconds later, it would go high. And then 2 seconds later, it would go high. Now, will that be a problem for us? Not right now, but the next time we are pressing that button, what if it's in the middle of one of those loops where it's keeping on going high? We don't want any of that. So in this case, we're kind of using a named timer to act similar to a call after timer, where we only ever want it to execute one loop.
Yeah, but I
want one ding.
But I remember from war games that the only winning move is to never play global thermonuclear war. So I definitely want to be able to stop my timer. I don't want them to go boom when they don't need to.
Agreed. So no matter what, once it does go boom, we stop it.
Yeah.
So it never goes boom again.
Yep.
So grab your timer, add a stop, timer stop at the end of its event handler. And that way it will only ever possibly execute once. All right, looking pretty good. I'm gonna make a little bit of space for myself. All right, next up, when preset button is pressed. We've done this 1,000 times. That's an event handler, right?
Yep.
So on controls, press and hold. Well, now we have to choose which one. We're gonna do it for number 1. Let's just focus on the first button for now. When press and hold button number 1 has a change, meaning it is pressed. Let's just keep on down the line. When it is pressed, that means it is?
That means that we are now ready to think about if it's true or if it's false.
Yep.
And the way that we know that it's true or false is by looking at the button's Boolean.
Correct.
Its
If
Boolean
it is
state.
true, then we can just evaluate. We can just look at its Boolean, which is naturally true or false. Since that is a true or false, that resolves properly for our if condition. So if it is true, what are we doing?
We already know we need an else as well.
Correct. Add an else.
Yep. And we don't need else if because the button is either true or false.
There's no third possible condition here.
Correct.
All right, so we're starting a timer. That we know where to get. Timer, start timer. Ooh, start timer with tick interval of 5. Do we want 5 seconds? Do we want 72 minutes? What do we want?
Nope, we're going to use that hold time that we are configuring.
Correct. We already gave them the option to customize this. And that was called, what did I call it in mine? I didn't give mine a name. Mine's going to be called hold time.
Mine is called hold time.
Excellent.
And by the way, if you're playing at home, I really sincerely hope that you can appreciate just how easy writing the code is when you don't have to think about what you're trying to do because you've already thought through what you're trying to do. Now you can focus on just translating what you said needed to happen into the syntax.
I mean, think about if you were building a house without the blueprints first, and you were like, maybe a bathroom should go here, or oh no, now that I've built the bathroom, I realize I don't have any place for the air conditioning. You want to plan things out first, and then it's just a matter of putting the bricks up. That's it.
It makes it easier.
Yeah.
It also makes it faster.
All right, so hold time value is our tick interval. That allows whatever they choose to customize to be the amount of time it takes for our flag to go up. And so we want to start the timer thing and reset the flag. Cool.
Yep.
We're just following our orders. Let's
Yep.
set the long press flag. I'll just copy it from up there to false. All right, boy, we're getting real close here. Now we've got our do other thing when false. So this is our else. We're going to stop the timer. I'm just going to copy that from up here too.
Yep. Do you like to copy or do you like to duplicate?
I copy and paste.
I generally just right-click and duplicate. Yeah, different strokes.
Yeah. And now we need another if-else statement embedded within this else that's going to do the one thing if it's true or the other thing if the flag is false. So we'll grab another flow control. If the flag is high, we're going to do one thing. If it's low, we're going to do something else. So we'll grab our else in that if-else block. What are we evaluating? We're evaluating the flag now. So we're, previously we were looking at the button's Boolean state. Now we're looking at the flag's Boolean state. Where do we get that flag's Boolean state? We can't just grab long press flag Boolean the way we did for our control, can we?
No, because that doesn't actually make any sense.
No.
So controls have an aspect called .boolean, which takes trues and falses. Our flag is simply a variable. It doesn't have a .boolean aspect, but it by itself is true or false. And just like we saw earlier, you don't actually have to compare .boolean to true. You can just ask the controls .boolean if it's true or false. Same thing here. You can simply ask the flag, are you true? Are you false? So all we need is if flag.
Yeah, we can just do if flag.
Yeah.
Now, you could have done this a different way. Like if we had, rather than setting the flag to true or false, what if we had chosen to set it to a number like 1 or 0? Like if we had chosen to memorize, or even like a string, what if we set this long press flag as a string that says, yes, it has occurred, or no, it hasn't occurred? Then we would need to use a comparator to compare, does the variable equal this string that we're looking for?
Correct.
Right? And that's where I was kind of seeing if Jeff would go down to see, do we need to say, is long press flag equal to true or long press flag equal to false, which is where you may have wanted to go as well. But again, we don't need to. It's like the Boolean in that it is already inherently a true or false, because that's what we defined it as. Right. So if the long press flag, which just sounds weird, if long press flag, but again, what is if? It's asking if the thing that follows this inputs a true or false into me, and the long press flag inherently is a true or false. So this works. If true, the flag's going to do one thing, and if it's high, right, we're going to do that, and if it's else, we're going to do this. So all that's left now is to execute this function. Take actual PTZ and shove it into our storage box. How do we do that?
We are going to go to cam preset storage, grab, that's the third one down, set its string to be something, and the string, right? So we're going to fill in that ghost string with the actual PTZ string.
Exactly.
Cool.
We're setting our storage box to match what we're getting in on the actual PTZ, which itself is getting coordinates field from the camera. The opposite of that
is take the actual PTZ set control block and then shove into it the camera preset 1 string. There you go.
Done.
Awesome.
And we have fulfilled all of our...
Ooh, Nate, I think we should do one more thing.
What do you think?
I think we should debug it.
Yeah, you should always debug. I mean, we didn't think about that as part of our list of items to execute, so we didn't do that yet. But if you didn't, after you have written this all out, I would almost always guarantee now is a good time to go and add a debug. You can look through the script and figure out what do you want to debug, how many times do you want to report back that something occurred. You may want to fill it with debugs. For me, I think I want to report that it was what the camera has been saved at, and or what it's been recalled to. I think those are probably good debugs. You want more than that or no?
I'm building that it was preset, and I'm going to then put in a number so that I can know that it was preset number 1. And then what happened, it in the first one, it saved. So I'm building a little, just doing some concatenation. And then what did it save? It saved, I just duplicated actual PTZ string and I shoved it in. So mine is a big debug print that has just this concatenator that says preset number 1 saved the actual PTZ string. And then I'm going to duplicate that whole assembly of code and change saved to say recalled. So now when I save, I get a debug print that tells me it's saved. It tells me which number did it and that it's saved and what the PTZ string was. And then if we recalled instead, it will tell me it was preset number such and such recalled such and such position.
That looks great to me. That's about what I did as well.
Okay.
Okay, so let's test all this right now. I'm going to save this code. I'm going to jump into emulation mode. And let's just make sure that it works, because if it doesn't work, you got to go back and double check why. So I'm going to look at my my design. I'll drag these controls and move them right up to the camera. Again, if you've got them on your UCI, you can do them there as well, but I'm just going to do them right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make an arbitrary move on the camera to the left, and let's see if we can save that by pressing and holding the first button. Press. I'm going to hold it for 1 second, as you can see down beneath it, and release it. And look at that. It copied the string from the actual PTZ and dropped it into our storage. I'll make a different arbitrary change. I will save it into the second storage box, release after a second. Oh, it doesn't work on that one. Why not?
We haven't programmed it.
Because we didn't program it yet. Everything we did was just for button number 1, right?
Yeah.
Just for button number 1.
I did the same thing.
That was intentional. We know that. So we're going to copy and paste this for button number 2. But we don't want to do that until we know it is like fully operational, right? If you copy all this code for button number 2 right now, and then you find a bug, then you've got to fix that bug twice. So let's make sure that it works still. Now that I have a different position and I tap it for less than a second, perfect. You can see that it recalled it to what I had desired and what was saved in the storage box for number 1. And if we check our debug window, it says, yes, camera coordinates have been saved at, and it tells me its positions, and preset has been loaded to coordinates, same thing. So yes, it is functional. That's exactly what we wanted it to do.